Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Let me begin with a prayer. Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shiva Dhatri Swaha Swada Namostute Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Namaste everyone. Very warm welcome to yet another interview session of Quest. And today we have a special guest with us, Sri Rajesh Sengamedu ji, who is joining us all the way from United States. Very warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you for making time for this session. Just a brief introduction before we begin our conversation. Rajesh ji is a seeker of Advaita Vedanta. He is a writer, teacher, and a sustainability professional. He is a life coach. And from a spiritual perspective, he follows Arsha Vidya Guru Parampara of Sri Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji. Rajesh ji has authored around 6 books expressing various ideas about how to live happy, how to live a contented, happy life. He teaches middle school students on Sanatana Dharma and Hindu culture through Arsha Vidya Balagurukulam. He also runs a Gita study group, a cohort of 30 plus seekers, and he's doing this study group since 2019. And on a professional side, he also works at a leading consulting company as a go-to market leader for sustainability consulting services. Again, thank you, Rajesh ji. Very glad that we could make this conversation. Uh, I think it is good to begin where everything begins. So, my first question would be about your life journey, especially your journey into Vedanta and Adhyatma and early spiritual experiences. Please also share as you share about your life journey, your spiritual journey. Also share about your Guru Parampara, that is Arsha Vidya Guru Parampara, your immediate teachers from whom you learned any interesting anecdotes. Please go ahead.
So, Hari Om, Vidiji. Thank you so much for this opportunity. First of all, I'm truly honored to be here on this platform. So, quickly, a little background about myself. I grew up in a small place called Guntakal, which is a railway junction between Chennai and Mumbai. And my father was a diesel driver in the Indian Railways, and he's now retired. And I grew up there all my life till I went to Bits Pilani, and there I did my engineering. And I was uh, uh, studying and working in different parts of the country. Then I was, and thanks to my work, I also started working in Delhi and Pune, and in Stockholm as well as UK. And then I went back to India, and then as luck would have it, I moved back here to the US. That's in short about me. And I have 2 children. My daughter and my daughter is working right now, and my son is in his final year of engineering. That's about me. And quickly about my parents. My early influence on Adhyatma and Vedanta were actually my parents. My dad and my mom, they used to listen to a particular Swamiji called Swami Guru Parananda. I've never heard of him. Maybe about 20, 25 years, 30 years back, I've never heard of him at all. And I did not know who he was. And also my parents, they used to have this in those days, before the days of iPhone and iPods. They bought all these cassettes and CDs from, costing almost about 5,000, 6,000 rupees. And they were listening to Bhagavad Gita from him on a regular basis. And I could never understand what they were listening. Somebody talking all the time, and my parents listening. Um, but then, it's sort of stuck with me as to what happened at the time, what my parents were listening, and I was a little curious about it. But then, as a 25, 26-year-old person who's now working and earning some money, I went through the usual path, nothing very different. I got married and I had kids, and but something changed at that point of time. We were expecting our first child, and my wife, she could not carry the baby. We had to abort the baby, and that changed something in me. And I started asking questions about why, what happened, why this happened to me, and what was the thing that I could have done differently, or why should it happen only to me? And if I've done this, if it has happened to me, then maybe I have done something wrong. These are all the kind of questions that was going on in the back of my mind, and I did not have the answers. I'm an engineer by education, and engineers think in a particular way, and I was thinking in that particular way, but it did not. I did not have the answer. Um, then I was a little stressed at that point of time and emotionally down. That's when somebody suggested to me that I should look at Vipassana meditation. And Vipassana meditation, I did that for about 10 days, going through Goenkaji's Vipassana meditation. And then that helped me to calm down a little bit. Then I really understood what was meditation as shared by uh, uh, Vipassana technique. And then, I was practicing that for a long time. And then, of course, my daughter was born, and then life became normal and all that stuff. Um, but all the while, all through my life, I was an avid reader. I used to read anything and everything that came across. And Swami Vivekananda's books I used to read quite a bit. And at one point of time, when my son was about maybe about 9 years, I think, when we got his Upanayanam ceremony done. My mom and dad were saying, why, you got to get the Upanayanam done for your son and all that. And I was wondering, why, what's the whole point? I was also wearing this three sacred threads, but I don't do much about it. And that's when my mom said, okay, listen to this. And she gave me a CD in English by another Swamiji called Swami Paramarthananda. And Swami Paramarthananda had talked about Upanayanam and Sandhyavandanam, and I listened to it. And when I listened to it, my entire outlook had completely changed by the time I listened to it. And I realized the purpose of Upanayanam, and I immediately got my son's Upanayanam done. And that was a very interesting moment. And that's when my deeper interest into Adhyatma and the philosophy, the ancient philosophy from India started maturing, I would say. And then all the things that I was reading, right from multiple things that I was reading, I was just reading earlier, but then now I started connecting the dots. And so then I started listening in, and then as they say, I found my guru in the same guru that my parents had as the guru, Swami Guru Parananda. My Tamil was not good. My Tamil is not good, but I still used to listen to him, and I got hooked onto him, I must say, like a drug. And what he was saying was kind of resonating with me very, very much. And, I consider him as my guru. And of course, his guru is Swami Paramarthananda and Pujya Dayananda Saraswati of Arsha Vidya. And that's the lineage that I follow today.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, have you done any of these long-term and short-term courses that Arsha Vidya teachers do in India, or is it more of a long-distance learning for you?
It has been mostly long distance learning because by the time I really got into understanding this, I was already here in the US. I moved here in 2014, and I was already here in the US. And I was not taking it very seriously when I was in India at the point of time. But when I came here, it became a lot more serious. And I must also mention, when I came here, the local temples out here, there's a temple here called Veda Temple. There was a person called Padmini Kumar, who was a Shishya of Swami Chinmayananda. And he was teaching some basic things for people like us, migrant Indians out here, on Puja Vidhi and Panchasuktas. And his style of teaching was not just to, make you chant, but also to understand the meanings. And I did that formally with him. And I learned what is the Shodasha Puja Vidhi, the 16 steps in the puja. And then I also learned the Panchasuktas to chant and to understand the meaning of what the slokas say. That was the only formal thing what I did. But all the while, I was listening to Swami Guru Parananda's lectures on Bhagavad Gita, all the Upanishads, and also on Yoga Sutras and several other spiritual texts that I used to listen, like Aparoksha Anubhuti. But then I realized that, okay, hey, is this all coming through this digital medium? Is this person that I'm listening to, is this person even real? Is this person even actually emulating the life that he's actually saying or not? And that's when I made an appointment with Swamiji. And when I went to India specifically once, I think this was probably maybe 2016 or something. I personally sought his appointment. He lives in a remote place, in a place near Tiruvannamalai called Uttaramerur district. I went there and I met him. And when I saw him, everything fell in place. I had no questions at that point of time. And so I never sought anything from him. I just sought his blessings, spent about 15, 20 minutes, generally chatted with him about, my life and all that. And then I realized that, people actually live this life.
Wonderful, wonderful, excellent. Uh, it's very fascinating, the interactions with the guru. It could be very small, but it could be life changing, right? So,
Yeah.
very fascinating. Uh, you have been now, in the manana and nididhyasana of the Vedanta teachings continuously as a Vedanta seeker, and you have also been a practitioner of yoga and meditation. So, how have these influenced your personal life, your thinking, your approach to world? Uh, have they made your life more meaningful? And what kind of influence, if any, have they have on your personal, in your professional life as well? So, just share your thoughts on this.
Nitinji, that's a very deep question. I think, first of all, we need to really understand the meanings of the words. I think um, uh, sometimes it's very, very easy to read something at a very surface level and interpret it the way that you understand it from our own perspective, and then make some conclusions out of it. For example, the word yoga. If you ask anybody out here in the West, for example, they would not think anything beyond asanas, hatha yoga. That's it. And when you say meditation, everybody thinks about closing their eyes and doing something. So, like that, when you go forward, look at pranayama or even dhyana or upasana or Vedanta Shramana Manana and Nididhyasana. People have different understanding and they behave differently. So one of the first things what I did was to really, really understand what it means, what each of these key words mean. And once I started doing that, I really understood that all of these they have a specific pattern and they have a particular construct which helps you not just to understand the philosophy of what life is, but also to live a life that is consistent with what the right way of living is. And the right way of living is not something that is determined uh, for everyone. Everyone can choose their own way of living, implemented. But there are a few principles that never change. And so the first most important thing that happened to me was Nitinji, to answer your question, right? Um, the definitions, the meanings have started changing in my own mind. And once the meaning started changing, I started trying to understand what was the meaning of life, first of all. And then once I started asking that question, I tried to understand what were my goals in life. And all the time, my goals were only, in the artha and the kama domain. I did not think too much about dharma as a goal, although the ethical considerations were always there while doing whatever that you to do. And I never knew about moksha. But then once I knew this, it became much more easier for me to understand what my daily activities were uh, aligned to. Is what I'm doing related to my artha goal, or my kama goal, or my moksha goal. And then once you start bucketing your daily life in that fashion, then it becomes very easy to really understand how you can allocate the most important resource that you have, which is the time. Where do you allocate how much time is very important at that point of time. And so once the goals were defined, I was looking for tools, and Vedanta, Advaita, Yoga provided those tools. For example, I'll tell you, uh, if you want good health, everybody wants good health. And if you want good health, you can do many things. And I did yoga, hatha yoga. Daily, I used to practice yoga. I did yoga. I even taught yoga to people. And then when you're stressed out, as you know, we are all in professional lives, we travel a lot, we interact with a lot of people. There are a lot of situations at work that need you to be calm, focused, and relaxed, and not stressed. And there are tools like meditation, dhyana. They were able to help me personally calm down. And then as you progress in your career, then there are certain expectations that happen within your career. You sometimes don't meet those expectations. You're getting disappointed at the point of time. There are some things that you would want, some specific goals that you want to achieve in your life. They happen, they don't happen. Some things happen, just like that. Some things happen with a lot of difficulty. And how do you deal with all these situations? And then life happens. Children grow up. There are challenges when you are in a family. How do you deal with all these things? So the Vedanta was a tool, I would say, that is very, very specific, and it helps you to really understand what your goals are, what obstacles could come, what obstacles are there to reach your goal, and how you should overcome. Once you have that, let's say the pattern understood, it's very easy to apply that in your day-to-day life and see that you are not stressed. You are doing everything together. You are having challenges, you are going through life, you are having happiness, but they don't bother you anymore. You're just doing it. And that's the thing that changed within myself.
Excellent, excellent. I think this is a very comprehensive perspective that everybody needs to develop. How all these are tools or methods passed on to us by our Arsha, Rishi ancestors, this knowledge to help us lead a better life, more meaningful life, a more fulfilling life. So I think that is the key. Um, my next question is, I think, a kind of a continuation of what we just discussed. So, as a wellness coach, you have practiced decades, I think at least 30 years of experience, and you have guided hundreds of thousands of people. So,
Correction, not hundreds and thousands, hundreds of people.
okay. So, as a wellness coach, who is also a practitioner of yoga, Vedanta, and meditation, so you have guided a lot of people. And so, please share with us your experience in working with these people. What are some of the issues that people commonly face in their day-to-day life, and how our Hindu spiritual knowledge and practices, be it yoga, Vedanta, meditation, or something else, puja, Vedana, whatever it is, how they help us, how have you used them to help people, uh, uh, be it to change their worldview, or be it as a some spiritual practice that can anchor them, that can take them forward. So tell us about your work as a wellness coach among people. Yeah.
That's a very important question, what you ask. In my experience, I have seen that everybody that I've interacted with, and I've worked with people who are colleagues, friends, and family members, and have seen that everybody is looking for peace. And they want to understand what they can do to keep their body and mind fit. And when you go to the next level and delayer what I'm saying there, uh, people understand very easily the body part of it. Okay, I have a body, and if I exercise, I can keep my body fit. And there are a lot of people who stop there. They think that keeping doing exercise is good. Once you do exercise, you're healthy, and once you're healthy, your mind is also going to be healthy, and then body and mind will be healthy. That's one way of looking at things, and people do have that approach to life. And I'm not saying that is wrong, but I'm saying it is just a limited approach. Um, but there are certain other type of people uh, who uh, who who know that even if the body is fit, the mind can be disturbed, the mind can be stressed, the mind can be uh, confused. Okay, and they want to know how we can keep calm and have peace at all times. So for those people who have this more body-centric approach in life, I would always encourage them to do yoga, because yoga, number one, is a first step. And I used to teach yoga to people. Yoga is a first step where it not only works on the body, but also because the postures, the asanas themselves help you to start breathing in deeply. And especially when you have a sequence like Surya Namaskara sequence, you teach people, then people start breathing in deeply. And once they start breathing in deeply, suddenly the mind automatically calms down. So without they themselves knowing about it, what they are doing is when they practice a technique like Surya Namaskara or a particular sequence, of asanas, then they're able to breathe deeply, and then suddenly they're able to get the physical benefits, and also they are slowly, without themselves knowing, are able to feel more calmer and pleasant after a yoga session. And then when those people come and ask me, this feels good, how is that? And that's when you talk to them about helping them understand that, okay, you got to go beyond body. And then there is this thing called breathing techniques, and then you go into um, uh, tools that would help you to understand what mind is, what are the different parts of the mind is, and how you can, just as you can manage, you can do specific exercises in the gym for biceps and for your triceps and for your abs. There are different parts in your mind. How can you how can you manage your emotions? How can you manage your intellect? How can you take right decisions at the right time? So there are different techniques. Once you start bringing in, and that's when you start moving the person slowly into understanding what those tools are, which is the dhyana meditation techniques. And then once the people are a little bit more calmer there, then they would get into Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. So that's the path that I used to take. So what I saw in people is that meds, the abbreviation that I learned, meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep is very important for them, because the first goal for all of them is health, physical health, and they want to avoid health problems. And if there are health problems, they want to remove them. And all of us these days, we end up working, sitting for long hours and all that. So there are stress issues, work posture issues and all that people will have to deal with. And then the next set of people who are looking, once they've gone beyond that, they're looking to flourish. And then the third set of people want to manifest what they really want to do. So I've taught people, chair yoga at work, for example. I've coached people on meditation. I used to run meditation sessions. I used to run hatha yoga sessions at work for people. And my goal was to see how they can integrate yoga and meditation within their life. They don't need to kind of go to a specific place or do yoga and come back and then freshen up and all. How can you sit and do yoga? How can you wear office clothes and do yoga? Things like that. And how those are the kind of things that I used to do. And then as I progressed, as I was teaching some of the people yoga and some basic breathing techniques and some meditation, a desire in me started coming in saying that, okay, hey, maybe there is much more beyond this. And that's when I got together with a bunch of people to really say, okay, how can we go beyond this? And then there were a lot of curiosity about what Bhagavad Gita is, what does it say, how to implement that in life. So with a bunch of my friends, we formed a cohort in 2019 or maybe 2018. We started this, and then we started discussing this about how Bhagavad Gita can be applied, and that's how the whole thing started for me.
Wonderful, excellent. So this Bhagavad Gita cohort, you are still running it. What is the format of it? And if anybody wants to join it, how do they go about it?
Yeah. So we started in 2019, and you know, the bunch of people that we got together, we were all friends. We studied together in college, and we were living in different parts of the world. Somewhere in India, I was living here in the US. Somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Middle East, somewhere in Singapore, and all that. So what we did was we decided that we will get onto a Zoom call, and every Sunday, 6 a.m. Pacific time, we will get onto a Zoom call for 1.5 hours. And so initially, the way that we started off was we started off with a small book by Swami Dayananda Saraswati. It's a very beautiful book. I will have it somewhere. It's called The Teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Okay. And it's about 150, 160 page book, which sort of summarizes in English what Bhagavad Gita is all about. So in a sense, think of it this way, that Swamiji is laying the route map for anybody who wants to get a proper introduction to Bhagavad Gita. So we did that entire book. And the only request that I had for all the people who were coming into Bhagavad Gita for the first time in a formal way, I told them that I told them to trust me as a quote unquote guide right now to go through this book. And since I had gone through Swamiji's teachings a little bit earlier, I understood those words a little bit better. So the format, what we decided was that we will read a few pages together every week. Okay, not more than 4 or 5 pages or 3 pages at a time, depending on how difficult those pages were. And then we'll come back and we will discuss what we called it as our aha moments. So I used to encourage everybody in the Zoom call to, okay, you read this, help me understand what you understood. And then we will have a group discussion sort of thing. And people will obviously come with their own understanding based on their past patterns and thinking. So they will say, okay, if let's say hypothetically yoga, the word has been used, okay, then people will think yoga means something else. But then then you start discussing. Then you start correcting the people with the right definitions. Okay, we have to understand the way that the teacher is intending to understand that particular word. And then once you go through this, for a year or so, I think for a year and a half, we just did that 150-page book. That's all. Okay. It took us that long. And then once that happened, a lot of clicks happened in people's minds. Then it started, oh, this is what it means. Okay. Yoga means a union of two things. Yoga doesn't mean body posture. Okay. Meditation has a different connotation. Dhyana is a connotation. Dharana is a different connotation. Okay. And then karma. What is karma? People think karma is work. Okay. Karma yoga. What is karma yoga? Karma yoga is Karma is work. Yoga is, joining together. What is joining together? Karma yoga. How does it work? And then you start clarifying. Okay. Then you start clarifying the meanings of the words, the intention behind their slokas. And then the biggest click that happens in people's mind is karma and karma yoga are different. Everybody can do karma, but not everybody can convert that into karma yoga. And then once you start that, and then you go into different chapters as what Swamiji lays in, then the entire scheme of Gita gets into the mind. And so that's the long answer. And then what we did that after we finished that particular book, then we said, okay, now we're going to up our game. And then we said, we're going to take a book and go shloka by shloka. Okay. Then we choose Swami Chinmayananda's The Holy Gita book. And we've been doing that maybe roughly about 5 shlokas every week. And right now we are almost completing chapter 13. So I'm very happy that, a group of about 35 people in the WhatsApp group, in the Zoom group, about 18 of us participate on a weekly basis, daily. Rest of them are, listening in. They listen to the recorded podcast what we publish. It's sort of think of it like a friendly interactions that happen between friends, where there is no quote unquote teacher, but the teacher is the Swami Chinmayananda, and we are all sharing. Each of us is a teacher to each other, and we are sharing our aha moments to help each other understand. Sometimes after we conclude the chapter, we revise the chapter so that it helps in manana for each one of us. And at the same time, if I have not understood something from that particular chapter, maybe in the revision, I understood that a little better. So that's what we are doing today. Anybody can join that. But already, since we are already at chapter 13, if somebody is very new to Bhagavad Gita, maybe it will be very difficult for them. And I'm thinking that maybe, we should, if somebody has that interest, they've gone through that and they're interested, the timing works out, and they're at a level that they can join when chapter 13, they don't get bored, then we are happy to include anybody. But if somebody is new to Bhagavad Gita, they want to go through that, I would be happy to start another cohort, okay, and do the same thing all over again. But we need to work out on the timings and all those other logistics issues.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. So I have one suggestion, if I may, that once you finish this Holy Gita cohort, and if you are interested to go further into the Gita, I would suggest Gudhartha Deepika, which is Madhusudana Saraswati's commentary on Gita, and there is an English translation of the whole commentary by Swami Gambhirananda of Ramakrishna Ashram. So that is a very voluminous book. Uh, to going through that in the manner that you have mentioned, it will take also many years. But it is in my personal reading, I really like that book. It is a traditional commentary, so you will get much more material to chew upon, to reflect upon, and to learn from. And especially Madhusudana Saraswati brings in perspectives from multiple darshanas, multiple traditions. So it is a treat for the intellect. So this is my
Absolutely.
humble submission to you.
No,
Uh,
thank you so much. This is what happens, right? The universe provides you different signals as to what to do next.
uh, moving forward, um, I think uh, listening to you till now, uh, I think one of the most important teachings or ideas promulgated in Hindu philosophy is the notion of Purushartha. Uh, how useful do you see this framework of Purushartha in approaching in your experience, in approaching contemporary challenges, especially as a life coach? Have you employed this framework to help your clients? Uh, how about the vision, Purushartha Drishti, in your own life? So, what has been your experience? Especially, I would join this to another question, considering the fact that I think it was your first book, which is or the Happiness Beyond Mind, right? I think it is the first book. So, this happiness is a notion which is very, very much deeply connected to the notion of Purushartha. So, have you approached the question of happiness in your book from the Purushartha framework? If yes, how? And especially, the title of the book is very catchy to me, because normally when we speak about happiness, we think in sense of bodily pleasure or sensory pleasure, but something that we can experience with our mind and with our body. But you are speaking about happiness beyond the mind. So please share us about the book, the happiness aspect, but also more importantly about the Purushartha framework and how you see it.
Nidhi, thank you so much. I think this is the book that you're talking about, right? And
Yes, yes,
Happiness Beyond Mind. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay. So I wrote this I'll start first with the book and then I will go to the Purushartha. So I wrote this about 4 or 5 years back, when I sought my guru's blessings, saying that I have gone through, I've learned so much from his teachings, but then I want to share what I learned. Okay. But at the same time, I realized that I was woefully inadequate to even write anything about Bhagavad Gita. But at the same time, I realized that I am the most qualified to write about the transformation that has happened within my own life after the teachings, what I've gone through, the Advaita teachings. So I decided that I'm going to write about the transformation that has happened. So this book is all about the transformation that has happened within me as a person. Okay. And so the as I started writing the book, of course, I did not have the title in my mind. As I started writing the book, I realized that there were a few things that I had anchored myself on. And one of the first anchor was before and after. Before, the anchor was you do something and you become happy doing that. For example, I'll take a simple example. I like sweets. I take a Mysore pak, and I know you're from Mysore, and Mysore pak. I take a Mysore pak and I eat it. I feel very happy. And so the anchor, what I had in my mind was the happiness is coming from the thing that I'm eating. Okay, and now you can extend that to beyond other things. Okay, um, I get a promotion. I'm happy. Therefore, happiness is in promotion. Okay, I look for going to this going to this place, meeting these friends. I meet all of them. I'm happy. So happiness must be in the friends, or happiness must be in the place. I'm taking a vacation. I'll go to some place, okay, that I have not been there, that I wanted to go. Therefore, happiness. I'm happy. So that was where I was anchored. In the happiness is in things, is in people, is in objects, is in place, and is a particular time. Okay, but then after I went through the entire Gita discussions, two things struck me. Number one, the same thing is not going to give me happiness all the time. A very obvious example: I can't keep eating Mysore Paks all the time and be happy. After my fifth Mysore Pak, that's the most horrendous thing to eat after that. But then I realized that, oh, logically, if I have to think, happiness is not in the objects. Then is it in the people? Same logic applies. Sometimes people make you happy, sometimes they don't make you happy. That means they're not, the happiness is not inherent in them. And like one Swamiji used to say, if you go take any object, buy something in the market that you like, that let's say ice cream, and you look at the ingredients, nobody says, happiness 2% or happiness 98% on that ingredients list, because happiness is not there. Happiness is there within you. So that's just an instrument for you to be happy. So then once you start analyzing this and use the framework of Bhagavad Gita and understand what it means, then you will come to a conclusion that happiness is happening within you. And those are all the aids that are happening within you. And then you extend that, okay, where is it happening? Is it happening in your body? Is it happening in your mind? And then all that, when you start analyzing that in a very, very logical way, as guided by the Bhagavad Gita principles, as guided by the principles of our Sanatana Dharma, then you realize that happiness does not happen within your body or even within your mind. So where does it happen? That's a big mystery. Okay. And then what happens is that then the best analogy, that the anchor change, the shift that happened in my mind was, imagine that there was something like a sun which was shining brightly all the time. Okay, but sometimes we don't see the sun. Sometimes it is clouded. Sometimes it is partially we see the sun for multiple reasons. Okay, maybe it is nighttime, so you don't see the sun. Maybe there's a dark cloud, you see the sun a little bit and all that. So when you remove those conditions, then the sun is always shining. That's exactly happiness is all about. Happiness is you, your own nature. And it's not shining all the time because of the clouds that are covering that particular happiness. And that happiness is what you are. And that's beyond your body, beyond your mind, beyond your intellect. That's how I choose happiness beyond mind as a title of my book. Okay. Now, uh, now it's interesting. Sorry.
Just a small bit. Your explanation beautifully reminded me of some place Adi Shankaracharya writes on Anandam. It is almost a similar kind of explanation. Your explanation reminded me of that. I just wanted to interject that point. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you for saying that. It is, whatever I've written here is nothing original. I'm just like a parroting what Swami Guru Parananda or the entire Guru Parampara has been saying for millions of years. It's just that I've said it in my own words. That's all. And actually, I cannot even claim that I have not even said it in my own words. I just said something which I thought will be helpful for others. Okay. Now coming back to Purushartha. So, like I said, people actually anchor themselves in multiple things. If you take a layman in today, and if you go ask them, okay, uh, what are you doing? They will be able to answer, okay, and then people will say, what is it that I'm doing? When can I do this? Where will I do this? How will I do this? When, where, which, who? They will tell you everything. Okay, you ask somebody, why are you doing this? Rarely do they know the answer why they're doing it. And if somebody just for argument's sake says, okay, I am doing this for this particular reason, then you ask them another question. Why are you doing it again? And you keep asking why. After 3 or 4 consecutive whys, people don't know how to answer that question. This was my problem too. We have a few ideas that we pick up that sort of becomes our guiding points or anchors in life. For example, don't hurt others. That becomes a guiding light. Don't cheat, don't lie, becomes a guiding light. Okay? Earn money. Okay, be healthy. These are all the things that become a guiding light for you. But then when they become a guiding light for you, it's sort of a proverb, right? Work hard, play hard, never give up, be strong. All those things are all proverbs. They we start thinking that those are the values that guide us. But then over a period of time, you realize that these values guiding us are not sufficient for you to be, quote unquote, happy, peaceful, contented all the time. So there is something wrong in the way that we are thinking about our framework in life. Okay. And then this is where the science and logic fails. Absolutely. Because science and logic is always looking for logical explanation. But human beings, we are not logical oriented people all the time. We have a bundle of emotions, and then we can't make out. If you ask anybody who you are, they will define themselves by their profession, by their society, by their people, and all that. But that's not who they actually are. Those are all the roles what they're doing. So when you look at it from that perspective, what I'm seeing is that, including myself, the definition of why we do what we do is very, very vague. That is where Purushartha comes in. Okay. When you put the framework of Purushartha will tell you that the why of what you are going to do. All the activities that you're doing in your life today, they can actually nicely bucket into 4 different buckets. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Let's ignore Dharma for them. Artha and Kama and Moksha. Let's ignore Moksha. Artha and Kama. 99.9% of the things that we would do in our daily life will fall under the Artha bucket or the Kama bucket. And translated into English, given that we don't have a lot of time, all I would say is needs security bucket is Artha. Kama is desires, selfish, motivated desires. That's all we are doing today. Now, is that life? How is that different from an animal life? Animal wakes up, it eats, it sleeps, it feels scared, and then it has a child, it dies. That's what we are doing too. Maybe a little bit more sophisticated. But then, when the question comes for the person, why am I doing all these things? then the dharma and moksha buckets become much, much more important for them. So depending on that, what is dharma, what is moksha? Everybody knows there's a sense of right and wrong within each one of us. And whatever that we do for artha and kama bucket, most people, 99.9% of the people, there are, of course, rotten apples in the basket always. 99.9% of the people will do things in their life with that sense of right and wrong guiding them all the time. And that, when you understand that much, much more deeply, that is nothing but dharma. It is the way that things should be done. That's it. So now dharma, artha, and kama become much more aligned for people when they understand that deeply. But then when they really, really go, why, then they realize that all the things that we are doing in our life is basically to be peaceful, contented all the time. And that is when the goal shifts. The goal shifts. Okay, it's because this goal of being peaceful, content, happy all the time, zero suffering, cannot happen in the same this framework of dharma, artha, kama. Then you say there must be something beyond this. That's when you go out of the box, and then say, what is that goal? And when you know that that goal is moksha, which is beyond dharmartha kama, where there is zero suffering, there is atyanta sukha all the time. That is not dependent on place, people, or object or things. That is a state of mind. That is not even a state of mind. That is your true nature. And when you do that, then the entire Purushartha structure becomes so easy. Then you start aligning, okay, dharma, artha, kama. I'm doing all these things only to be that contented person all the time in this life. Unlike Abrahamic religions who claim that, after your death, you'll go to heaven or Jannat. Okay. Those are not our goals. Those are all quote unquote a philosophy to explain how painful it is for you to come back in multiple births, to keep on doing what you have been doing, not just in your birth, but also in multiple births, if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. And if you know why you're doing what you're doing, in this birth itself, you can be contented and happy. No need to die and go somewhere else and be happy. And who knows, that place may not even exist.
Excellent, excellent. I think you kind of clarified. A lot of people have this doubt how to approach the various forces, various aspects, how to lead a balanced life, right? So I think this Purushartha framework is a very great framework that will help us to attain this balanced life. Now we can weigh the various things that we need or we want to do and weigh them together and see what is more important to us. So thank you for sharing this. I think I want to have, before we conclude, I want to bring in your upcoming book, the new book, Desi Dharma or Dilemma. I think this is being published by Indica only. So it's a very important book, I think, because when I went through it, what I loved was the kind of a story medium that you have used to communicate Dharma Sankata, though especially you speak in the context of Desi, the NRI scenario. But I think many of these dilemmas are equally applicable to everybody, people across the world, even those living in India and everywhere. So please tell us more about this book. What made you take up this topic, and some unique features of the book, as you say it. Please share with us, audience, and when it will be out.
Yeah. Okay. So, after I wrote my first book, Happiness Beyond Mind, I actually was thinking through how I should communicate this message to the different people. And then I realized that, okay, if this book is all about, my own transformation, it may be of interest to maybe my friends and a few people like that. Fortunately, the book sold a decent number of copies. But then I realized if I want to reach wider audience beyond my friend circle and family circle and unknown people, I should find a different format. Then I felt that I should write a novel. So I wrote a novel. It's called Purposeful Capitalist. I live in the Bay Area, and entrepreneurship and startups is pretty big here. So I write about the journey of an entrepreneur here, who is a capitalist by core, and who's taken in by Kama, Krodha, and Lobha, and then the journey what she takes in and how she discovers that some of the things what she's doing is not right, and how she realizes that, and how the transformation happens. But then I ran into another problem. The problem is that these days people have stopped reading longer version stories and books. So the medium has changed. So then I realized that the medium that I should adopt is a shorter version that you can explain some concepts to people. So then I choose the medium of writing short stories about Desi Dharma, Our Dilemma. That is the name of the book that I'm writing. So Desi Dharma, Our Dilemma, and is a book about Desis. And Desi, I'm not using it in any derogatory way. I'm just using it as a people who are coming from Desh, from India, who live abroad, and what are the dilemma what they have, and what is the right thing to do and what is not the right thing to do, the dharma and dilemma. So that's the theme of the book, and it's a book that's written in a conversation formats where you know uh, the story is all about maybe a couple of conversations between two friends, or a parent and a child, and a husband and a wife, or two colleagues and things like that, which kind of bring out a nuance about some of the quote unquote challenges that I have seen that people go through, some of the unique situations that people go through. Like, I'll explain to you. For example, um, one of the challenges, the reason why I'm writing the particular book is that um, uh, uh, when people migrate from one place to another place, there's a loss of certain cultural uh, 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 cultural values within them. In my own case, for example, my ancestors, I'm a Kannadiga. My ancestors moved from probably some parts of Mysore kingdom to Tamil Nadu because of invasions by Tipu Sultan and all that. And then from there, my father moved to Andhra Pradesh because of his job. And so, my Kannada is not good. I lost touch with language. I'm much more fluent in Telugu. Now think about it. When people move from India to different parts of the world, not just the language, even the culture is also becomes a little bit more weakened. And when the culture becomes weakened, then music, movies, masala, which is food, or mufti, which is dress, that becomes the prominent uh, culture for them. And people start learning, understanding, thinking that culture is all about what is there in the movies, what is there in the quote unquote music, or in the food that you eat, or in the clothes that you wear for Holi or Diwali, whatever, right? But that's not Sanatana Dharma culture. So people get confused as you move away from the culture. I'm not saying physically away, I'm saying away from the culture in general. Not necessarily physical is just a manifestation. You start losing the anchor what you have. So my intention was to say in stories how you can show in a light a different way of viewing the same situation. Like some of the situations that I talk about are stories that people face here. Like, for example, abortion. Okay, um, my body, my choice. Is it the right thing to do or not? I write a story about it. Or even a simple things about people. People don't know the significance of somebody wearing a vibhuti on their forehead, and what happens when people don't understand that, or lighting a lamp, or festivals, different festivals like Ugadi. Um, there's certain influence that comes in here, like wokeism influence that comes in here. People are people have a lot of influences, much more conservative influences that come in here. Um, proselytizing religion influences that come in here, that people think everything is okay. But they think that because they're swayed in by the media, they're swayed in by the environment what they're in, without that anchor, what you have, what happens is that they don't know what is right and what is wrong. For example, live-in relationships or eating meat if you're traditionally not eaten meat, or the other way around. Does Hinduism even promote eating meat, or do they normalize eating meat? Or wrong narratives here. Okay, people think Aryan invasion happened, or they think that karma means it's all my fate. Okay, how do they know that Nasib, Kismet are all Islamic influence that never were there in Sanatana Dharma? All we had was karma and dharma, caste. There are a lot of confusions about caste and things like that, or even language. Okay, schools, local schools here, introducing Hindi as a medium. People get upset. Oh, why not Tamil? Why not Telugu? I mean, these are all the situations that people fall into. There's a lot of guilt also. Parents are living in India, family is living in India. I'm living here. I'm not able to support them. I'm guilty. I feel guilty about it. What do I do? These are all the situations. But then when you put it within the framework of Sanatana Dharma, especially in the Purushartha framework, and understand, then maybe everything will fall into place. That's the reason why I'm writing that particular.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. I think it is I look forward to personally for the publication of the book, and I think it will be helpful for a lot of people. These are all critical topics, controversial topics. You mentioned abortion, and you mentioned about how elderly parents, being left out, and these are all dharma sankatas, and I'm sure your book will be helpful to a lot of people. Before we conclude, one final question. Um, what other projects do you have in mind? Are you working on something new apart from the Desi, the Dharma and Dilemma? And any final comments to the youth, especially, youth who are struggling um, from various issues, contemporary problems of the society. So any adhyatma or a dharmic perspective guidance to them. So these final quick comments on these questions.
Thank you, Nitinji, for that. Actually, I am working on two other book ideas. One is actually I've sought permission by the copyright owners of a Telugu book to be translated into English. The Telugu book is by a person called Tumalapalli Ramalingeshwara Rao, I think. Okay, it's called Dharma Sankatamu. Okay, it's set in the independence time, and that person who wrote that book later on, he took sannyasa in the Saraswati tradition, the same in the Bharati tradition of Sringeri Matha, and he wrote about he beautifully writes a story about a Hindu Brahmin boy and a Muslim girl, and how the conflict happens between them, and what challenges, what are the dharma sankata that the both the boy and the girl go through, and the entire life. I had read that story just about 3-4 months back. I read the Telugu story book after maybe 15 years, and I couldn't put it down. It was so beautiful. So I sought that permission. I'm waiting for that, and if they give me permission, I'll translate that book. That's one thing. And the second thing that I'm working on is in my professional life, I'm into sustainability and environment consulting. What I'm also seeing is that there is a lot of conflict in terms of what is the right thing to do for intergenerational sustainability goals. And United Nations has got this sustainability development goals, which are 17 goals called SDG 17. And when you look at those goals are all oriented towards only humans. And the conflict that I have in my mind is that when SDG 17 is presented as what is going to benefit only the humans by ignoring the other living beings, we are actually living a not balanced life that is not going to be good even for this generation or for future generation. Therefore, we have to bring in an approach of resolving this particular conflict within our own minds, and by bringing this intergenerational approach. So I'm thinking about writing 17 stories of conflicts of individuals, okay, addressing each of these 17, goals, sustainable development goals, and highlighting the one basic theme in that particular 17 stories, which is um, in our professional life and personal life, whatever we would do, we might do it sustainably or unsustainably. All those things apart. The most important thing is we got to think through that excessive consumerism from our own side as individuals is something that we must be avoiding as much as possible, because excessive consumerism puts in an engine that that takes in the capitalistic engine. I'm not saying don't do things. I'm saying step back and think through if it is really required. So that's the theme that's going to be there in the book.
Excellent. Final
Sorry.
address. Yeah.
Yeah. You asked me another question about what messages for our children, for the youth. I have two children myself, 24 and 22, and I'm going to say the same thing what I always tell my children. Uh, I'll say that first thing is, uh, don't ignore our scriptures as old-fashioned. They are traditional, but that doesn't mean they are fundamental. There's no fundamentalism. And also, don't look at our traditional books, our traditional scriptures, as if they're set in stone. It's not a Bible, it's not a Quran, where the word is, you cannot change the word. The word is perfect, and you cannot interpret it in any other way other than a particular way. Our scriptures are a guideline, and our scriptures help you to understand how to live life better. So even if out of curiosity, if you're able to pick up, or if pick up a book is good, but otherwise, I would say listening into Swami Dayananda's um, uh, culture. There's a series on spirituality and culture on YouTube. Just 20-minute clips about maybe 20, 30, maybe 50, 20-minute videos by Swami Dayananda. If anybody listens to that, then I think they'll get a very good understanding of what our culture is, what's the depth of our culture is, and especially to live life with conflicts that happen in our daily life. I would think that that's a very good essential grounding that anybody, youth or anybody else who wants to get introduced to revisit our own culture, I think that will be a very good start.
Thank you very much. I think that is a very good place to conclude this very fascinating discussion. Thank you very much, Rajesh ji. Your life journey has been fascinating. I think you shared very insightful, very useful nuggets today. So I'm personally very thankful to you. Thank you for making time for this program. And viewers, with this, we will conclude this quest session, and we will be bringing you more such interviews from people from different walks of life who have been influenced by Vedanta, by Adhyatma, by Hindu Dharma in some format or other. With this, let us conclude. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Namaste. Hari Om.